dear friend Irene, if you would please lead us in the invocation.
Yes, sir. Glorious and blessed God, we place our work and ourselves into your hands. Anoint our creativity, our ideas, our energy, so that even the smallest task may bring you honor. God, when we are challenged, guide us. When we are weary, energize us. Bless our administration, board members with wisdom and discernment. Rooted in your love, may your face illuminate all activities done in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in the Texas Pledge, please.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Irene, if you would please lead us in roll call.
Yes, sir. Jerry Garcia,
Yes, ma'am.
Luis Elizondo, Leo Gonzalez, Devin Bacta,
Present.
Deanna Havlin, Caitlin Shoup,
Here.
Gabriela Hillpold. Here. Susie Sullivan.
Here.
James McGill.
Present.
John Cudd.
Here.
Ed Bennett.
Here.
And Kevin Kishner.
Here.
Ramiro Canales.
Here.
Leticia Roberts.
Here.
Melissa Vela.
Here.
Terry Noack.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. And this meeting is now called to order. And do we have anything posted on remarks,
No,
Irene?
sir, we don't.
Okay. So with that being said, I'd like to go ahead and ask Judge Vargas to step up to swear in our elected board members. Judge?
Can I go through here?
Yes, sir.
Hey, here. Good morning.
Will you all please stand? I don't know if you've had a chance to read the oath already. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it. I'm just going to ask you to say I do.
Okay.
Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Nueces County Appraisal District Board of Director and will, to the best of your ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the state of Texas? So help you God.
I do.
Okay, that was easy. Just so you know, my name is Robert Vargas.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Appreciate it, sir.
And new board members, if you will please execute that oath that we have in front of you, and then we'll pick those up at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to recess this meeting, and public hearing now is in session, and we open it up to public hearing. And the Board of Directors will conduct a public hearing on the proposed 2025 Nueces County Annual District Budget. Elias?
Yes, no one signed up for it.
This is the one we reviewed last meeting.
It's a hearing in case anyone external to the district wants to show up and discuss the budget with the board, and there's no one.
Okay. So at this time, are we going to accept a motion to, no, we don't have to do that.
No.
Go through that process, we still gotta go to our taxing entities.
Jerry, that's further down. There's an
okay.
agenda item further down, but you can just close the public hearing at this time and then reconvene into.
Okay. Again, I close the public hearing, and so everybody leave. No, I'm only kidding. So, now, we reconvene the meeting. Thank goodness we have two attorneys on staff. We reconvene the meeting, and we have discussion or action, item number 8, on the consent agenda. And I'm going to read these out, board members, and if y'all want me to stipulate and pull one out, I'll be happy to. If not, we'll accept a motion to approve everything as presented. A, approval of the June 12, 2024 regular board meeting minutes. B, approval of the June 26, 2024 special board meeting minutes. C, receipt of August 2024 litigation report. D, Section 25.25B, correction of appraisal roll notice. E, fund financial statement for June 30th, 2024. And F, litigation fund accounting as of June 30th, 2024. Unless someone has a specific item to talk about, I'll accept.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Gabby makes a motion to approve as presented. LA seconds it. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show it passed.
Jerry, I have just one notation, is that it says August 2024 litigation report. It's actually the July. So just wanted to clarify that for the record.
Oh, it should have said July
C.
instead of June?
Well, it says August. Right. It
Okay.
should say July. Yes.
Can we abstain from voting?
Sure you can abstain.
I've been a member for 5 minutes.
So we need for you to approve the motion as it got presented. Yes, sir, you can abstain. No
Okay,
problem.
Thank you.
So with that being said, by correction by our attorney, I'll accept the motion as presented by Gabby, seconded by LA. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Let the record show there's 3 abstentions. The motion passes unanimously with regard to the abstentions. Number 8, Terry, the Taxpayer Liaison Officers Report. Oh, before I forget, Jared, it's your birthday. Congratulations, and may you have many, many more.
Thank you.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday, and you don't look bad for 21.
Thank you.
Okay, Terry, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. In my report, I put as of June 30th, the ARB had heard over 1,200 protests. I got an update from Chrissy this morning. They have now heard almost 1,700, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. And they are currently using 5 panels, except this morning because y'all are in their 5th panel room. And thank you for letting them borrow your board of directors room. They have been working very hard, and also kudos to the appraisers. They have been working so hard, not only in the panel rooms during the hearings, but also working with property owners and agents and settling cases so they don't have to go to the board. So kudos to them. They've been working very hard. The second part of my report, I'm asking you to consider, because now it's your job, how you want to manage appointing new ARB members. So traditionally, according to the code, I collect applications, I advertise first, which I usually start about mid-August. I collect the applications, I speak individually with the new members. It's more an informational meeting than anything, just kind of explaining the role of the ARB. We talk about the calendar, when they need to be available, what their responsibilities are. And then I request background checks, and Jennifer Williams in HR usually handles those. And I try to have all of that done and ready to go to the appointing authority by the end of September. That gives ample time. It used to be a judge, now it's you. Gives ample time for review of applications. If you choose to interview, that's up to you. I just would ask that you kind of think about how you want to do it, if you want to set deadlines for me as far as when you want information and applications and all of this completed. Like I said, traditionally I've tried to do it by the end of September so that the judge had ample time to appoint by the end of November. Because most of the time the board of directors does not meet in December, so just keep that in mind. This year we have 2 members that are coming to the end of their 3rd term. One is a regular board member and one is an auxiliary. I was just in, so that's 2 that we have to have. We have 6 that are reapplying, so they've come to the end of either their first or their second term, and so at the end of a term, code says they have to reapply. And so they just fill out another application, we do another background check, and it gets put forth to whoever is appointing. I was informed this morning there's a board member who is not returning next year, so that's 1 more board member that we need. Again, if you're happy with the way the timeline runs, I'm fine with that. Just take into consideration what you think you might need to do. Also, this is not on my report, nor is it in the agenda. Mr. Tiller and I spoke yesterday. There are, just as background for this, there are currently 4,000 timely hearings that have not been scheduled yet. There are more than 2,000 write-ins, which are mostly agents. And there are probably about 500 late protests, probably about 500 late protests. That's 6,500 protests that still have to be heard. That's a lot. And they should be done by the end of October.
So
That's
what
a
are you
lot.
saying?
What I'm saying is that they have added, Mr. Tiller has had to add days to the schedule.
Right.
14 in all. 2 weeks in August, and then 2 days in September and 2 more in October. Just so you're aware that that's going to cut into the budget.
Okay.
Also, after we talked with Elias about that yesterday, poor Elias, he was kind of
I'll kill you all later.
didn't like that. Both of us walked into his office at the same time. Mr. Tiller is asking that you increase the number of auxiliaries from 11 to 15. Now, we increased it, I shouldn't say we, you increased it a couple years ago by 3. The intent for, that does not increase the budget. That just increases the availability of members and their flexibility as far as scheduling. But in consideration of that, having 6 panels instead of 5.
Right.
They could have 6 panels so that 1 panel could strictly do write-ins. That involves no telephone, no property owners or agents present. It's just strictly an appraiser, 3 ARB members, and an operator. So that can be done pretty much almost anywhere. But adding a 6th panel as opposed to adding 14 days, budget-wise, that's a little more equitable. But so just something to consider. You know, I will need to know that before I present you with applications so that you all know also how many you have to appoint. But just, you know, if you would consider that. I know it's not in my report or in the agenda, but just something to consider. Because the AR, they're working every day. They're running 5 panels. They're doing the best they can, but it's just crazy. It's a lot of hearings.
All right, well, certainly, how do we act on that, Elias?
There's a couple of pieces to that. The whole thing about increasing the budget, we'd have to increase starting with the 2025 budget. But what Terry most recently talked about was actually increasing the number of people available,
Right.
not necessarily the budget. It's
Right.
just in case you have auxiliaries that call off, you've got spare auxiliaries to call in. So I don't think we have to do anything with that right now.
But that process is already in play.
But when we get applications starting in October, Terry needs to know how many she's trying to fill. Whether she's filling, I guess in this case, how many are we filling this year? Roughly.
Filling that are terming out, there's 2 terming out and 1 that's coming back. So that's 3, but if there are 4 additional auxiliaries.
Right, then we have to get 4 more people.
Right.
Okay.
You know, just to have them available. So
And-
I don't think we really need to do much with that, but we can put it on a future, not today, but we can put it on a future
Right.
agenda for you to actually
Right.
act on.
Let's go ahead and get that on the agenda. And so, and I'm glad you brought that up, Terry. That way our new board members will hit the ground running on that process. And
Right.
if you all should have any questions, please feel free to call Terry or Ronnie or Letty, and they can enlighten you any further should you have any other questions that you need to get answered on what they're doing.
ARB.
Okay?
Terry?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a procedural question for the future for us in November. Basically, before that, the judge was approving whoever they brought in after interviewing for the review boards, right? So now, and it's a state law now, we are all approving instead of the judge. So we need to come up with something, because this is a small city. So I guess legal will need to come up with something. If we get that list, we might also have a recusal list on our side for people that we know, because that is a conflict right there. You know, if you have a list of people, so we need to think that through a little bit, or legal needs to think that through, because we don't want to be there in November, get a list and not know how to vote on it. You know, if we have any issues there.
That's a very good point, Gabby. Maybe
So-
Terry, you and the attorneys can get together and sort out some sort of list for the board members.
Okay.
And a recusal as well, like Gabby says. That's a very good point. And we can just go ahead and do that as we're interviewing, because this process of interviewing, remember, years ago, that's what we used to do.
Right.
And before the courts and everyone else got involved, we used to interview the ARB members here and choose who we thought would be the best to represent the taxpayers and the county, and let's just work together and move on in. But the judge then got appointed to review the applications, and then he would make the appointments on the applications. And now it's gone back to the original. So, but I think if we fine tune it a little bit like Gabby has suggested, I think that would be a very good.
I think that's a good idea.
I'm sorry, I have one more point.
Okay.
I got complaints about the Zoom meetings timelines. And I know that you guys are trying really hard, but they are pulling like 2-3 hours, and sometimes they run over, so there's people that are waiting on Zoom for longer than that to get into the hearings.
For telephone hearings?
And so I don't really know if there's anything you can do right now in the process, but maybe for next year, I don't really know. I just got 2-3 people that were telling me, hey, we gave up, we didn't want to wait any longer, and so that should not happen, right?
Right.
So
According to the code, they, say they're scheduled at 2 o'clock. The ARB has up until 4 o'clock to contact them. After that, they have the right to reschedule.
Okay.
And it's the ARB calling the property owner or the agent or whoever it might be. Have we had an issue with that? I say collective we.
I'm not aware so far of any phone calls or Zooms that have not been done timely, but I may not have seen it.
Right.
Yeah.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
The district, I hate to speak, but most of the time, the district's very good if we're getting close on time. They get those hearings into a room before the time runs out. And they work very hard to make sure that we get all of them done on time.
Yeah, Chrissy and Tony and Amanda are really good about trying to get this one's coming up. Or sometimes, like last year, if they were running really behind, they would start calling the property owners and rescheduling. Hey, your 2-hour limit is coming up. Can we reschedule
I'll
this?
tell them to call you.
I've had, yeah, they can call me. That's what I do. Okay, so,
Does anyone have any questions for Terry at this point?
oh,
Thank you very
okay.
much. ma'am.
Anybody's welcome to call if you have any questions about
Thank
any
you.
of it. Thank you.
Appreciate it. I've been asked, Belinda, or rather, I'm sorry, Melissa, by one of our board members to see if we can move up the executive session. Can we do that right now? Sure. Okay. Let's go ahead and go into executive session right now, and let the record show that it is 9:21. And if you would please give us the room for executive session. Executive.
reconvene at 10:07.
Our attorneys are back in the room. We're going to go ahead, Elias, and ask you on item number 13. As we go to item number 14, ask you to email the board members and ask them for 2 separate days that they would be open, because we want to talk about goal setting, number 1, and number 2, we want to, goal setting for the chief appraiser, and also the situation concerning the taxing and I guess
the refinery evaluation.
Yeah, the refinery evaluations. Okay. And for now, we're going to put this evaluation on hold. All right, now, LA is going to be leaving the room. We still have a quorum, no, Irene? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's go ahead and go to back to the calendar on the discussion or possible action related to the 2025 proposed budget. Elias?
Item number 10. The reason that's on there is because in case something had come up from the public hearing and the board wanted to take action based on what they got in the way of feedback, or if you guys want to talk about or do anything with the budget at this point. It's scheduled for adoption at the next board meeting in August. We've heard nothing directly from anybody that I know of.
Okay. So even the entities?
Haven't heard a thing.
Okay. So there is no, on the possible action, do we move to adopt this action?
I guess you can, but...
Yeah, because since there was no feedback from anyone, we can go ahead, I'll go ahead and accept the motion to...
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I'll go ahead and accept the motion to accept the 2025 proposed budget.
I'd like to say that maybe we give our 3 new board members, since we don't have to approve it till next month, right?
Yes.
Maybe we go ahead and let them look at this since it's the first time they see it.
I've got no problem with that. How does the rest of the board feel?
Yeah.
I agree with that idea.
Maybe really see it.
Okay, that's good. We'll go ahead and table that for right now.
Okay. So no action.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Item number 12, discussion or action related to renewal of Microsoft 311. Okay, let's go ahead and I'll take a motion to table item.
So move. Item number 10.
Yes. Number 10. Kevin makes a motion, a second.
Second.
Devin seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. And now we're going to have a discussion on the taxpayer liaison officer We never got that evaluation, at least I didn't.
You didn't, not yet. We're going to talk about how you want to handle that. Okay, so you've been evaluating the chief appraiser. I'm going to get up here so I can actually see you all. You've been evaluating the chief appraiser formally. Now you have to evaluate the TLO formally. So we put something together for your consideration. It's in tab 11. It's an evaluation form. It basically follows her contract, which follows the code on her duties. But now the code has been updated to require you to do a formal evaluation on her and her timeliness of responding to complaints. So all of this is explained in tab 11 on the memo. So attached to the memo is a draft evaluation form. It's just 2 forms. It's not like the chief's, which has all this other stuff on it. This is a simplified evaluation form. We can follow the exact same process you do for the chief, send it out to everybody, they all give feedback, we combine it into one form, give it back to you, and then you can evaluate the TLO. Her contract right now expires at the end of 2024, December 31st. So we were thinking about putting this on the agenda in a future board meeting so that we can start the process going, email it out to everybody, get the feedback collected, put it on the agenda, and have you guys do an evaluation, as well as let's talk about her contract. Terry brought up a good point this morning that might require formalization in her contract, that she just wants to know how, with this changeover from the judge back to the board of appointing ARB members, if you guys want her to do the legwork. If so, we need to formalize that in her contract. She's been doing it for the judge, but she wants to know how you guys want to handle it. But we can talk about all of that at that time.
And when do we fill out this evaluation form?
Whenever you want. I can send it out and have everybody start filling it out.
Can we just take it out of the booklet?
It's harder to type in it, but those who want to handwrite, I guess, could. It's just not a whole lot of room. It's easier to type. But
I'd rather handwrite and get it over with.
That's fine. You don't have to do it today.
Okay.
This is required by the state?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a new part, yeah.
Because it goes back to...
It's one of those new things.
Yes.
Like them being...
Yeah.
I don't...
And
we don't really jump into what you do on a daily basis, and it's hard to evaluate somebody who you don't really deal with, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. The good thing is a lot of her reports speak to those things.
Right. No, I
Okay.
understand.
So you have some sense. And we'll just get something started and see where it goes after that.
So when you say a lot of her reports speak to those things, do you mean that we will hear that in order to help with this?
Yeah. When Terry reports the complaints part of that, like she did last month, she reports on complaints and what she did about them.
That's what you meant. Okay. So really, it's still coming from her, not directly from anyone else. I mean, she's giving a review, but it's coming from her, directly from her. So I guess that's really what I meant to ask. Sorry. If we were going to get information from anyone else working with her directly from them, but that's probably too hard to do. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of hard for any of us
Yeah.
to give you feedback on that. It would have to be like from the public, like what Gabby's always saying, I hear from the public, I hear, if there's a complaint on the TLO, chances are they're running to board members.
What about any of the other ARB members?
That's separate.
They work with her at
Completely
all?
separate.
But anybody
Yeah.
else at all that works with her here, would that help? I don't know, I'm just trying to, like Devin said, it's really odd,
know.
and it feels weird to give an evaluation of someone you see once a month for 2 minutes.
That's what we were thinking when the legislator changed it. How are they going to do
But
that?
that's why I was wondering of a way that it could be more valuable to get some information. Anybody that she works with here.
I don't know it's going to be that valuable
No?
because she's separate and independent from the appraisal district. She's separate and independent from the appraisal review board, and she's separate and independent for us. She's basically the go-between for all of these three, so
She's
people
a
can
conduit.
come. Yeah, and
That's why she comes up here.
Yeah.
and so that's kind of, you got to leave it to the legislature. They think they're doing some things sometimes and they're not, but it just is what it is.
The only feedback you get that's neutral is from people that come to the boards and have an experience. And I mean, in my case, it's easier because it's the island people and they all know, they just call and they complain. So I know what the issues are. But if you talk to some people that in your wheelhouse and they have been here and they have suggestions for improvement or criticism or praise, Sometimes they get praised too because they do a really good job, you know. All of it helps us, but it's going to be
And I
hard
wasn't
one way or
even
the
really
other.
thinking so much about the people coming, because they're already complaining.
Yeah.
So I already know that that might not be a way I want to evaluate Terry. But I was thinking more of the logistics of how it operates, you know, with how she's doing here internally with coordinating people. To me, that's what.
Along those lines also, Susan, we had by law a hands-off approach. We could not deal with them. We couldn't talk to them.
Right,
That's
but
why they were on
now,
the third floor.
we have to say how she's doing, and how do we know how she's doing if we can't even
Bingo.
know how she's doing?
That's what Elias was saying.
Okay.
That's what Elias and I were talking
Yeah.
about earlier, and it's
That's
just.
fine. Sorry, I didn't.
Yep.
You can continue.
But I can give you an
You can't
example.
come up with anything original, trust me.
I can give you an example of what she does. A lot of times people come to her because they don't know what the tax code is, and she gets them to the people that that can fix their issue. Like, for example, if somebody says, I was at a tax office, they wouldn't give me a homestead exemption. Well, guess what? We don't administer homestead exemptions. She sends them to the appraiser. They call, complain to her, and then she sends them to the people who actually can help and actually have the legal authority to do what they need to do. That's kind of what that's a lot of what she does.
She wants to say something.
I'm sure.
Anyway,
Do you, why don't we let her come up real quick? Sure. I want to hear what she has to say.
Terry, do you want to come up real quick?
There you go.
We'll let her explain what she does.
So, I had thought about this, and I was like, well, not that you don't get it, but you're not here every day, so you don't know, exactly what I do. I keep a log of every person that I speak to, whether it's on the phone or in person. If that helps, I will print that novel for you. But at least it shows you kind of who I speak to and what the resolution was, whether it's, I didn't get my tax refund yet. 888-0230. Choose option 3. But I'm happy to provide that if that will help you in what you have to do. I understand it's hard to evaluate somebody when you don't experience what they do, and that's a good point. I mean, it's hard. But if that helps at all, I'm happy to provide that for you, or you can come and sit in my office. Observe. But, or I don't know what else to offer aside from that, but, if there's anything I can offer to help you do what you have to do, I'm happy to provide that for you, so just
Well, and also,
let me know.
I've dropped in on you unannounced, and Terry has been, one time she was helping a couple of taxpayers with the forms on what they had to do to fill out. It was in your office. And, they had come with the person that they were talking to. I don't know if it was an appraiser, if it was an ARB member, but Terry took them aside, walked into her office, settled the situation. These are who you need to talk to, and if you have anything else, just call me. And everything got resolved, because I asked her, I followed up with her. And everything came out okay on that particular situation, and I can only say, probably, I would venture to say almost every venture like that is like that. Am I correct?
most of it's pretty easy to resolve. It's usually taken care of within a day or so, with the exception of a couple that we talked about last month. But most of the time, it's a misunderstanding. They don't understand the process or the code, or they're just frustrated or angry and they just need to vent, and that's fine.
And some of these people have called me after the fact, and said they were madder than hornet. They had to, they were ready for war. And after it all got said and done, they called just to say that everything got resolved. So that's the only thing I can tell you as far as that goes. Now, whether it got resolved with Terry or the ARB members or whomever, it got resolved. And they were satisfied. That's all I can say. Any other questions for Terry?
How many people do you typically assist daily, would you say?
During the hearing season, I would say anywhere from maybe 10 to 15, depending. Sometimes it's in person, sometimes it's by email, sometimes it's on the phone. And sometimes it relates to their protest, sometimes it's their hearing, sometimes it's a tax issue, in which case I refer them to Kevin's office. And so I would say anywhere between 10 and 15 normally, and then I also help out with if the ARB has questions, tax code questions or questions about how to resolve certain, issues. I never tell them what to do because that's not my job, but we have this on the protest. How do we do this? Can we do this? That kind of stuff. So.
And just from my knowledge, learning everything here, how does one get to you from the general public? I mean, is there layers that, are you the last person they end up with, or?
No, I'm usually the first person they end up with.
Okay.
I'm on, my number is on the website. I also have cards that are available, in all the panel rooms. And normally, because they hear taxpayer liaison, they think I'm him. But they pick my extension and they get me. And sometimes it's after their ARB hearings, and so they're referred to me by the panels or by other property owners or whatever. So sometimes I'm the first person they get, sometimes I'm the last. It just depends on what the problem is, what the issue is.
Thank you.
Anything else for Terry?
I've got something for Elias.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
It comes from being a teacher.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Elias, please come step up. Ed has something more to ask.
Okay. Elias, this is a memo from you to us. Am I correct?
Yes.
Help me understand why it's on Ronnie's letterhead.
Why it's on what?
Ronnie's letterhead.
This is the letterhead that we use for communications externally and to the board. You're talking about the actual woven, the fancy letterhead?
Well, what I'm seeing here, it's got Ronnie's letterhead and your memo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see where Ronnie's involved, even as a carbon copy.
Oh, okay. Let me kind of explain the letterhead thing. This is the letterhead. It just designates Ronnie as the chief appraiser, or it outlines that he is the chief appraiser to make that known to whoever the recipient is. But it's appraisal district letterhead.
Mm-hmm. So you use this letterhead for every communication?
Well, of mine anyway, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And then now, if something is going from Ronnie to somebody, a physical sheet of paper with his wet signature on it, it's really similar to this. It's almost exactly like this, but it's gray and thicker, 25-pound bond.
Mm-hmm.
This is just because it gets duplicated for board packets.
Maybe a good comparison, Kevin, is like your office, right?
Yeah, everything
Your
has my name on it.
but
Even
it's
though I
the
don't
office.
originate letters, everything's got my name on it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, it falls on me, and ultimately for this, it falls on Ronnie.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like our ultimate authority if the
Interesting
recipient has...
approach.
Yeah.
No, but
Anything else for Elias? So be expecting this form on Terry in the email process. Is that correct, Elias?
I can send it out to everybody, and however you want to send it back, and then we'll accumulate. Do you know which board meeting you'd like to talk about this at?
Let's go ahead and do it at the next board meeting.
August board meeting.
Yeah, in August.
Okay.
Any other questions for Elias?
So that means you'll email us the form? Okay.
All right, now, we'll go to item number 12, discussion or action related to renewal of Microsoft 365 licenses.
Neil can talk.
Neil, you want to enlighten us on that?
This is just a renewal of our services that we've been using for now the past 2 years of handles our email, securities, analytics, the teams. So we're very happy with it. The price we've got is the best price I've seen, and it's directly from Dell, so they're also on our DIR. So we're doing all of it through government pricing.
Okay. Does anyone have questions for Neil?
So
Move to
that's
accept.
already in the budget, right?
Yes.
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 I move to accept.
Second.
Motion made by Kevin Kieschnick to accept this, and seconded by Susie. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote aye. Opposed? Let the record show it passes unanimously. We've already gone through executive session. Now we're going to go through item number 14, no, I'm sorry, through item number 15, Chief Appraiser's Report. Ronnie?
Okay. Let's see, the update for the 24 reappraisal notices. We mailed out approximately 180,000 notices throughout the county of Nueces. All of them have already been mailed out. Also, too, the update on the protests, we've got about 34,000 ARB protests total. We're pretty close to what we were last year at this time. We had about 38,000 last year. That's a little bit on the low side. We had a handout for y'all this morning, and that's with one of the new laws that got passed. It's called the circuit breaker. And that will tell you what each entity is going to be losing in value. Letty, you want to explain a little bit about that?
Okay, so there's a breakdown by entity.
Letty, can you speak into the microphone, please?
So there's a breakdown by entity. So if you look at the first, oh, no, okay, now it's on. Okay, so if you look at the handout, there's a breakdown by entity. So the city of Corpus right now has a cap loss of 301 million. And then the bigger one is going to be Nueces County, the hospital district, and the farm to market. That's sitting at 530,499,274. Now these are going down as protests are concluding, so you'll see those go down a little bit more. But that just gives you a breakdown of every entity and that's affected, affected by the circuit breaker.
See, this value reflects on all non-homesteaded properties. That's a first. This is the new law that came into effect for us to implement. So when you look at the city that's losing 301 million, that's exactly the value that they're going to lose. If you want to know what the revenue would be, then you multiply that by your tax rate. That's how much each of these entities will lose, as far as value is concerned. That's part of the new laws that came into play for this year as far as caps.
You're talking about the 20% cap, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what the circuit breaker is. It's on 5 million or less property values. Okay?
Does anyone have any question on the circuit breaker?
That's just an idea as to where some of these entities are going to be looking at for monies that they thought they were going to get or values they thought they were going to get. But because of this new cap, 20% cap, and it's going to be good for 3 years. After 3 years, the state will either continue or it'll just drop it, one of the two. Other than that, we're under the reappraisal plan property value study. It's ongoing by the comptroller's office. We're also, next month, our next board meeting, we'll discuss the reappraisal plan for Nueces County, the 3-year plan that we have. Also, I wanted to make sure that all of our board of directors, currently and the new elected ones, got their new appraisal manual. Okay, that's new as well for this year. Other than that, our financial audit presentation will be ready for the month of August. Is that correct, Elias?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, if you don't have any questions, please let me know. And that's all I got to say.
The audit is presented by the auditors?
Mhm.
Okay. And which firm is that?
They've changed their name. Gallon Straley Smith.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think
Does anyone have any questions for Ronnie? Okay. At this time, or does anyone have anything we want to add for next month's agenda?
How do we get things put on the agenda?
I just said it, Ed.
Then I do.
Okay, then we need to bring it up right now.
Okay. I'd like to talk about policies, board policies. So that's what I'd like on the agenda.
Okay. Anything else?
You got the ARB to expand from 4.
Wait.
the ARB auxiliary to
Oh,
expand?
Yeah,
to find
do we have to
people?
wait? Do we have to vote on the auxiliary question for the ARB stuff? Because she needs 15, right?
Yeah, but I think that was already, is Terry still here? or
Yes.
Yeah, just do it.
Was that already in the budget, Terry, or?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we still have to vote for the extension, right? We do. Okay,
Yeah.
so, yeah, okay.
Okay,
So we
so,
need that on the next meeting.
yeah, we need
make
to
sure
put
it
that on the
gets done.
agenda,
Yes.
Elias, please. Thank you, Gab. Anything else?
Do we need to have how you guys get reappointed on the agenda?
We have no clue, right?
How, like, y'all get reappointed, the appointee?
Yeah.
We'd probably need to have that discussion.
Like the
The
chair,
process for
vice
this.
chair, yeah.
Well, no.
We
Like,
appointed.
anybody who's not elected has a new
election,
process.
you know? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
y'all need to know what that process is,
Yeah.
so.
We have
So
no
I think that probably needs to be discussed.
Can you give us a form before we leave today, Elias?
A what?
I mean, I guess I could probably print it somewhere, but do you have it?
What form is that?
So Gabby, me, Caitlin, all of us, except for these three,
The non-elected officials.
right? We have to reapply if
Yeah.
we want to stay on, and we have to fill out a form, right? Would you happen to have that?
What the entities do, some of the larger ones, they put out public notice asking, calling for
Okay,
applications.
so those forms come from them?
Yes.
Okay.
Does that happen under the
Not
need
all of
process?
them, that's not a requirement.
Gentlemen, like, not continue on because it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, we need, I'm saying that we need to have a discussion on how this is
Sure,
done in the next
exactly.
meeting.
We'll have it on the next agenda.
So that needs
Yeah,
to
but
be
that
on there,
might
so
be
y'all know.
late. That might be kind of late. When is this, I mean, isn't filing happening like in, I don't know if it's the end of August, but there's an August date. So that's why I'm saying this information, even if it's just general information emailed to the board, waiting 1 month might be too late.
We
I mean,
can send it out to the
not
board,
too
but I
late
think
in
we need to
doing
have
it, but
discussion.
it's pushing out a whole month when we really should know. And some of us need to think about, do we want to reapply? We don't want to just have a week or two of that information.
I mean, we can put it, as far as we're concerned, we can put it on the agenda for the next time. Any sort of handouts or any other information, I think you can go to Elias for that. But right now, the discussion is just what do we need on the next agenda? And so we'll get it on the
So
next.
we definitely need to have it on the
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, but there's information we need to get before that. So we'll contact Elias for it.
And y'all might want to visit with your appointing authority too.
Actually,
Your
that's
specific taxing
That's the thing
entities.
to do, is to get whoever appointed you, whether it was the city of Banquete or whomever, then reach out to them and tell them that you're interested or not interested in getting reappointed.
But it might be a complete different animal. Don't they point as a conglomerate
Yeah,
now?
that's why we just need to
That's-
discuss it.
It's going
Yeah.
to be a different,
Right.
a different system.
Right.
Can we
So-
get legal to, can you
Yeah.
guys figure out what that process is going to be and then present that to the board? I think that's really what the ask is.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll
Okay.
present that in August.
Thank you.
Because one
Okay.
entity, one-
Anything else? I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Gabby makes a motion, seconded by Devin. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.